So it's time to leave the waking world behind and enter the nightmare realm of Fatal Frame 3 yet again. With hour 2 starting, we find ourselves starting out in the room where we last fought Miss Takagawa. And in her stay, we find a brand new item waiting where we found her crouching beforehand. And that is the 4-point well key that is for that small door we found earlier on underneath the stairs. Still though, it leaves one to wonder if that's the last time we'll see Miss Takagawa. Also, it makes me wonder why this little bedroom area is now blocked off to us. Oh well, it's time to head on. Or run into Miss Takagawa again. What the hell was that? Yeah, in our second encounter with Miss Takagawa, we see that she is not alone, and instead is accompanied by these bending shadows. Now, this time around, Miss Takagawa has a brand new attack, and that's the fact that she is pretty much an enemy generator. Until we deal with her and destroy her for right now, she will keep on manifesting these bending ghosts, causing us to get knocked around and be distracted while instead having to not deal with her. Now, while we could possibly farm points off the bending shadows, they're not really worth our time and are just kind of a waste of film. The good news is that Miss Takagawa still does not have a lot of health, so she isn't too terribly difficult to deal with. And we can now head down to that door that we need to unlock underneath the stairs. Not before we hear an incredibly distorted, creepy voice coming from that small futon area. Not really sure what it could be saying. It's a bit too muffled and distorted, but I don't know, maybe we'll figure it out later. We do see a ghost leading down to the area we need to go, but before we follow that guy, there's going to be another guy at the top of the stairs here. It's that same swaying figure that we saw downstairs earlier, shrouded in blood. And it could very well be the same source for that moaning that we heard behind the door earlier. So nothing to worry about there, just another creepy event trigger. But it's time to explore another new area of the Manor of Sleep. Now, this particular area is called the Stain Corridor. Can you spot why it might be called that? throughout the corridor, there are these odd human-shaped stains all along the walls. And I wish I could say that was the strangest part of the hallway. We can already hear something is causing our camera to react. And right around the corner here, we find a hand poking out of the wall. Now, that does give us a brand new musty photo to develop back in the real world. We can get a little bit closer. For some reason, Ray doesn't seem to notice the hand poking out herself, but she does seem to notice the human-shaped stains, and if we look, almost seems like there's someone in the wall. So we still continue to hear that moaning, so I definitely want to get out of this hallway. Kind of creeping me out. So let's go ahead and explore what's behind this door.
I remember now. I remember this place.
Yeah, this is that graveyard where we started out the game. This time around, though, there is something causing our camera to react amongst the gravestones here. And it's yet another undeveloped piece of film. Guess that will give Miku plenty to investigate. But we have our own investigation to go on in this little courtyard area. First and foremost, there is this odd well over here. Maybe that's why it was the 4-point well key, but it's a bit dark inside. Well, maybe we could get a clearer view with our camera. Or we can snap a sneaky vanishing ghost. Not sure who that was, but well, they certainly were frightening. We can also find our first bottle of sacred water here. This is our second healing item of the game and will heal us pretty much to full. I think it's about 70 to 80% as per the other Fatal Frame games. More importantly though, this was the doorway we entered through in the daydream and it seemed to follow where you was going, but yeah, there is a pretty large sturdy lock on the door. I guess before we can continue on after you, who I assume to be in here, we're going to need to find that key. Now, I think there was one other door we could investigate back in the stain corridor, so we'll go ahead and head over to that. And in here, we do find another herbal medicine. And this is yet another location of a respawning item for future reference. Also, this was the little gated area we saw off of the entrance hallway that we saw before, but this is a very peculiar hallway. It seems to end in... It's a dead end for Ray. There does definitely seem to be a smaller passageway leading onwards. Could be that we'll investigate that later, but I don't know, as this is a dead end, I guess we'll just have to backtrack a little bit. Maybe there's something new going on back in the main hallway. Or maybe we'll get ambushed by a brand new enemy. Say hello to the man in white. Yet again, not too much to this particular enemy. He's very slow, his attacks are very easily telegraphed. And if you are able to get a 3-hit Fatal Frame combo, it will kill him. Yet again though, that's sometimes easier said than done, as I think I might have stated it earlier, but each enemy has its own unique Fatal Frame time.
Secret dies with me.
But for our troubles, they do leave behind an item. A rather odd looking stone with the character of 1 on it. While immediately we don't know what this is for, it's for something that's relatively nearby. You may recall that there is still an upstairs area we haven't investigated, so that is going to be our next destination. Still though, it was a bit odd that that man in white mentioned something about the secret dying with him. I wonder what they're not wanting us to know.
Get back! Stay away!
And if there are actually multiple men in white, or if it's just one guy that we're chasing after. But in this upper area we find something that looks like a storage room. And while initially there might not seem to be any items, there is an item hidden over here in the corner. And it's a more Type 61 film. Now, as I mentioned beforehand, if we look at our inventory, we'll see that most of our items have been replenished for the most part, but we did keep that Type 61 film we got from before, along with the Type 61 film we just picked up. So, while there are certain items we do carry over, such as the more important non-respawning items, the other ones, well, they will automatically replenish. But here we see the pinwheel / pentagram puzzle for Fatal Frame 3 to unlock certain doors. And while the clue isn't very clear, it's not too difficult to figure out. Basically, on each one of these stones there is a number reference for how far you can move the stone. Such as this last one here has 3 notches, so that means we can move it 3 times. And once we move to its correct location, it changes to that square looking indication, and that unlocks the door for us. Leaving us a lovely view of the courtyard, along with a door on the other side. Now before we head over there, if we head along this edge of the roof, we'll have our first opportunity to take care of a hidden ghost. Now, along with the vanishing ghost and the musty film ghost, there are also these hidden ghosts located throughout the game, and they will require us to go out of our way at times to find them, but it does give me a chance to show off the ghost list, which normally we don't get till after we beat the game. But it does seem to be a bit lacking in some of the ghosts that we have already taken pictures of. I mean, I'm sure we've taken at least 20 or so pictures of vanishing ghosts, but only the inverted woman, which is the one we just took, is showing up. And that is because this isn't the entire ghost list. You only get the entire ghost list in New Game Plus. Either way though, I will be showing off every one of the 217 ghosts in the ghost list. For right now though, we do have to tread lightly across this slippery rooftop. And even if I wanted to try to run here, the game would force me to go at this extremely slow pace. But in this separated room here, there isn't too much to look at, though we do find a brand new item waiting for us. And it is that key we need to unlock the door down in the courtyard. Along with that, we do find a brand new part of the camera obscura, returning from the Fatal Frame 2, which is the evade function. Which, if you recall, if we manage to shoot at the correct time whenever we are grabbed, we're able to evade an attack. And they kind of set up an opportunity here for you to be grabbed by a man in white, but you know what, I'm not in the mood to be grabbed. Yeah, the men in white aren't really difficult at all, but that's a familiar sound that wasn't here before. Yeah, if we go to this far corner here, this door panel can actually be removed. And underneath it, even though it is a bit hard to see, there does seem to be a portion of the floorboard that we can move, but it seems to be held tightly by something. I don't know, I guess we'll have to keep track of that for later on, but for right now, we're just going to re-head back down to that locked door and see if we can't get that open. Also, hopefully you enjoy going really slow. But I won't make you watch all of that, instead I'm just going to cut right back down to the door there. And let's see if we can't catch up with you. And rather violently, we are shoved back into the waking world. We were so close to you, about to enter a brand new area, but God, I felt like we left there with more questions than answers. Well, at least we got some more musty film to develop and investigate. Also, I think I hear something downstairs. Ah, it's the phone ringing. Let's go ahead and answer it.
Yes, Kurosawa speaking?
Ah, it's Miku. She's still working so studiously for us. Seems she has found out some more information about Mrs. Takagawa, and she has left it for us up in her room.
I understand. Thanks.
So with that, we can now safely enter Miku's room to get that information. Before we do that though, figure I might as well go ahead and get that film developed while I'm down here. Now, there's not too much to gain from just looking at these pieces of film. I mean, tombstones are tombstones. It doesn't really give us an idea of the location. But occasionally, such as in the case of the second piece of film, even though we took a picture of a hand in the wall, it seems to have given us a completely different location, with a lot more human-shaped stains. Sadly, we don't know too much about this, and that's why we're going to be giving these to Miku to figure out some more information. But for now, we're going to go ahead and head up to her room. It's been the only place so far in the house we haven't actually been able to access yet. For, we don't want to be rude and just barge into Miku's room without her. You know. Without her permission. There you go. Sorry, brain fart. Even still, Ray feels a little bit awkward about doing it, but we must press on forward. Oh. What's the kitty cat doing in here? Does it want to play with us? Hooray! Mission successful. At least we've done one thing right so far in this update. But with that out of the way, we can take a quick look around Miku's room. Nothing stands out too much. It's pretty simple and modest. Lots of flowery patterns and, I don't know, seems a pretty cheerful room overall. Except for dolls. Fuck dolls. But we're not here to be interior designers, we're here to get some information. And it's located right here on Miku's desk. Now this is more information on Miss Takagawa, not too much that we didn't already know, though it does paint a much grimmer picture of the situation that Miss Takagawa found herself. Seems that after the plane crash she was mostly left unscathed, but she did have to spend 4 solid days surrounded by the victims of the plane crash, including her family and her fiancé. Now, it might just be speculation, but all those bending shadows, while they don't seem to ever hurt Mrs. Takagawa, they do seem to hound her relentlessly and stick around her, and I do seem to draw the assumption they're the remaining members of her family and her lover from the plane crash. Or at least the guilty manifestations of them. Also, we get a newspaper clipping here, just going over the fact that Miss Takagawa is indeed missing, and it wasn't just a figment of our imagination that she went up in a puff of black smoke. Also, even more disturbing is that it mentions that there has seemingly been a string of disappearances, and that Miss Takagawa isn't the first. Also on the desk here, we see... Hey, I know that guy. As of right now, though, Ray does not know who that is, but for those that follow the Fatal Frame 1 LP, that is Mafuya, Miku's older and very much dead brother. But with that out of the way, it is nighttime yet again. Now before I head back to sleep and call this an update, I do want to go ahead and give Miku those pictures that we developed. And she doesn't seem to be downstairs, so that only means that she can be in a room.
Ray? Are you having trouble sleeping? It seems like you're having a lot of nightmares lately. Are you alright?
While I appreciate the concern, I'm more here to
What can I do for you?
Get these photos investigated. Hopefully it'll allow us to understand the Manor of Sleep a little bit more.
Understood. I'll let you know if I find anything.
In addition to that, I do want to make one quick stop back inside Yu's room. Occasionally, over the course of the game, we can revisit Yu's room and use it as a wealth of knowledge. For as you recall, Yu was very much into the urban legends and the supernatural, and his bookcase here is just chock full of things that are going to be useful to our knowledge base. In this circumstance, we find that there is a book on occultism that strikes our fancy. And while it's mostly unnecessary information, it does give us a little bit of information on Aso, which is Yu's surname, and also the surname of the guy that invented the camera obscura. Otherwise, though, there's not too much to garner out of this, outside the fact that there are not very many working camera obscuras left. But we can revisit this bookshelf throughout the game, and we will be doing so to get any additional knowledge we can. For now, though, I do want to go ahead and head back to our bedroom. Go ahead and save and call this an update. I know it was a little bit short, but I don't want to start the next hour just yet. Hopefully, though, you will join me next time in figuring out a little bit more about the terror that awaits us in the Manor of Sleep.